the CPA is here.
JJ the CPA has been serving thousands of businesses for the last 27 years. He is also a national speaker teaching CPAs across the U.S. about the latest tax laws, as well as an author and now what many call a YouTuber. Through this COVID era, JJ became a voice of calm during the pandemic, guiding countless businesses, self-employed individuals, and fellow tax pros through the PPP maze. Now, JJ is taking his know-how to help businesses that have asked for his help to rebound out of this mess that no one saw coming. He is doing this out of his own pocket, not for a fee, and to simply show the American business owner that they are not alone. JJ, America's CPA, is here to help save the entrepreneurial spirit, one business at a time. We are excited to announce that Cooper Jenson, son of JJ the CPA, is joining Jenson Company CPAs for his summer internship. Cooper is a 6'5" lefty pitcher from Santa Fe High School who last year took his team to victory by winning the state championship.
Today's gonna be a great day, y'all, because my son is starting an internship with me today. So I taught Cooper QuickBooks literally when he was in second grade on how to enter and run a bank statement calculation. Over the years, he has talked about wanting to work with me when he retires from MLB. Wanted to be CJ the CPA. Ever since I can remember. I used to stitch on my sleeve my golf shirts, JJ the CPA, and he wanted his shirts to say CJ the CPA. He was like 5 years old. So we had been talking about him getting a job this summer, and of course COVID happened and was really no opportunities. And then probably about 2 weeks ago, he started asking about, well, is there anything I could be doing at your office? And wasn't sure, we had baseball kicking back up and how that would work and the hours. And so anyways, he, on Sunday, Father's Day, he was talking to me about what work there is. And I was like, well, let me put some thought into, what work we have, how we'd go about it, and making sure that, I'd have enough hours for you to do some real work versus just, coming and shuffling papers. So anyways, he went down in the meantime, just because he's excited and he wants to work and get extra money, and had applied at 2 different businesses. One was a grocery store, one was a restaurant. And I thought, wow, okay, he really wants a job. He really wants to work. So I'm going to put something together here. So I started thinking back on internships that I used to give to college students for years and years and years. I think years 2 through years 17 of my practice, I always had an intern working for me. In the early years, it was just during tax season, and then in the fall, and then it got to where I had a summer, a fall, and a spring internship with college students. Some came to work with me, some didn't, and it was a lot of fun. And so I started thinking back, it's like, okay, well, when an intern came on, what did I do? How did I go about it? What did I have them work on? And I thought, you know what? I can do the same and even better, because it'll be with Cooper. So if he knew QuickBooks in second grade, he's gonna know it now, almost 18. So the fundamentals to any business is the books, is the accounting, is the QuickBooks for most. And what's key here is it's so much more basic than everybody understands. And from the perspective of then having good financials you put yourself in the best position as a business owner to be able to know your numbers. And if you know your numbers, Amanda says it as the prophet from CNBC says, that's PROFIT, profit. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. QuickBooks is meant for the non-accountant. It is something that you can't mess up. There's some real basics to it, and for most businesses, I'd probably say 85% of businesses can use the most basic functions of QuickBooks to achieve exactly what they need to know the numbers of their business. There's a lot of things that QuickBooks can do, but you don't need to know how everything works before you can start using QuickBooks and using the basics. And the basics are this: what money came in and how do you account for that, and what money left, and then how do you account for that? Pretty easy. So we're gonna see the walkthrough, because I'm telling you this right now, if it gives you any confidence, my son's smart, you're smart, but we're gonna teach a high school student A to Z on the basics of QuickBooks today. You're gonna see it's gonna be fun, and it'll be with my son Cooper. Very, very special. You know, I don't even know how to say it probably properly. And it's almost an emotional, it is an emotional statement, so to speak, but even if it is just for a day or for a week or just for a summer, even though Cooper talks about wanting there to be a career for him in accounting and insurance, for one of your kids to have seen you their whole life working as something. I've had my CPA practice since before he was born, of course, but to have your kids see you work on something for your whole life, for them to say, you know what, I want to do that, and to ask you questions over the years, and how does it work, and how do you make money doing this, and how do you work with the clients, and what do you do to help them? And these are questions he's been asking over the years. And so on Father's Day, to be able to say, you know what, son, I think it's time you join the family business, was, wow, best Father's Day gift I could have for my son ever, other than that homemade card he made me, which was phenomenal. All right, so we got the stuff ready to start the bookkeeping, and it's as simple as this. We got bank statements here, and we have the credit card statements, and what we're going to be doing is we're just starting from scratch. We're going to go back to 1/1, and we're going to enter in all the banking activity back to 1/1/20 and the credit card activity. And for most, this is enough. All right, he has arrived, and early. First day of the internship. All right, so we're setting up new accounts. I just got off the phone with the client and walked them through what we're doing. We're setting up a new Quickbooks. So it's not a new program, it's a new data file on it. They've got an existing one. That way we can run it parallel. If they decide they don't like how we're going about it, it's not useful to them, then we haven't done anything to affect what they currently have. So what we're doing now is we're setting up chart of accounts in terms of how we're going to classify the activity that's on the bank statement. And really, you got four main categories. You're either classifying it to an asset, a liability, income, or expense. We walk through the bank statement on a number of transactions just to say, okay, we're seeing deposits from Amazon. What kind of income do we want to categorize that as? Well, we know it's income, right? So when I say kind of income, it's just what do we want that account to be called on the financial statement. So when we're looking at the profit and loss, we don't want it to say Amazon. When we say, well, what kind of income that is? Well, it's online income. So we would have a category on the income statement that says online income. We know now what deposits are from the store. So based on the description of the bank statement, then we know when we see that description, we're going to put it to the category that's in-store income. It's still income. And you don't even have to get that detailed. You can just put it all to gross income. And then the money that comes out, just, well, what kind of expense is it? Or is it paying down a liability? Or is it money coming out to the owners? And so with the chart of accounts, technically it's like, well, an expense is an expense. For the IRS, an expense is an expense. They don't really care if it's office expense or if it's rent, technically. I mean, they want to know what those categories are for analysis or reasonableness or who's this vendor. But Code Section 162 of the IRS code, they do not care what kind of expense it is, because they don't go, well, that kind of expense doesn't count, this kind of expense doesn't count. What they look at is, well, was it ordinary necessary to your business? And was your intent for that expense for business purposes? And if the answer is yes to both of those, well, then it's a tax deductible expense. So anyways, when we visited with the client, we got some of the answers, and they had some initial questions, but we indicated to them that once we get through getting everything entered in, so we're going to enter in the bank statement activity as well as the credit card and activity. And the thing is that, you know, if somebody wants to get more sophisticated, they can with payables and accrual and what they build out, and they can use a lot more to the QuickBooks. But here's what I would say to somebody that's not using QuickBooks, okay? If you're not using QuickBooks, okay, then just use the most basic function of it versus giving yourself an excuse of why you can't use QuickBooks because you don't know how to do this part or this part or this part. All we're doing is entering in the banking activity and trying to, in essence, give this client something they've never had in 14 years, which is a set of financials talking about what this business is doing, what their sales are, and what their income is. So on the bank statements, you're just looking at the description to then to know where it goes in the category. So to set up a new account, you're just putting in the name and then the type, and then you're categorizing it to what account it needs to go to, and that's it. We got 1 month done, and basically we've got all the deposits in. They go to revenue. There were no loan payments received, no amounts that should go to liability. And then we've got all the money that left. We've got it in an expense category unless it was a payment to a loan or to a credit card. So from our perspective, we have now an official set of financials for the first month showing revenue and expense and net income, and then assets and liabilities, all as of 1/31. So why don't we just log in tomorrow, and maybe we'll just shoot to log in around 9 o'clock. Then once we get everything entered in, which I would, let's see, February, so March, April, May. Yeah, we should be able to have everything entered in tomorrow. Then why don't we just plan on at the end of the day tomorrow, we'll be able to do what we were planning to do today. We can get that to where there's some comparison. Well, and the good thing is we can pull up a P&L by, month to month. And then as you populate this, if we were to fast forward, if we're now into the end of, or if we're now in the next summer, we could see, well, what was January 2020? What was January 21? Compare some of those things. So yeah, it'll, and that's what I'm saying, it just gets more useful and more useful as we populate it. But I will say this, I did definitely consider whether it made sense for us to, because I could have just made a copy of what you have and leave your original intact. I could have made a copy of it and entered our stuff in. but I'm telling you, it's, in my opinion, what you have is so tangled up that it would just cause us more issues and more time and frustrations. And so anyways, that's why I just started from scratch.
I had an awesome first day. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was gonna be. I learned how to do QuickBooks, and I learned just the importance of typing in every number correctly, because it can be a pain if you type one wrong to go back and look for it. But other than that, pretty good first day.
Biggest purpose of our episode tonight for the reality show is, yes, I've got my son that's joining me, but it's to show the small business owners out there, the self-employed, the sole proprietor, that if you have some smarts, okay, my son's smart, gets good grades, he's a exceptional athlete that will be going to college and play a professional sport, baseball. But if he, at his age and his experience level, right, because he's not an accountant, doesn't have an accounting degree, he has math, he knows how to work on a computer and enter in information. So I am teaching him some of the same things that I teach clients, which is, here's why we classify something to this expense or to this income so that we can see these financial statements. But I went through that with him as well, which is to say, if you have a business, if you're a sole proprietor, if you're self-employed, you know numbers, unless you have a charity and you charge nothing and you pay nothing to anybody. So you're dealing with numbers. So when people say, well, I'm not very good at numbers, or I'm not an accountant, it's not an excuse. And the point in saying that is that I've got my son here who is smart, but if you're an adult and you have your own business, you at least have this level of intelligence, okay? And you can do these books, and it's simple, and then you have good financials. And that's what this is all about, to let you know and encourage you that you need to know your business, and to do that, you need to know your numbers. Are you liking it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good.
I like it.
So here we go. Next step, CPA.
Here we go, Coop, right down the front now. Here we go, Coop!
Ground ball to short. Santa Fe Robertson will gun it to first, and that's it.
Self-destruct sequence activated.
Santa Fe has won it all.
State champion, how good does that sound?
It feels amazing. This is what we come here for. This is what we worked for all years. We earned it.
Cause money never sleeps. You never met a CPA quite like me. You never met a CPA quite like me.
Let's actually do this. We made it to Kansas! Mwah.
Hey, JJ, it's Cindy Bell here from Pedal Spin Studio in beautiful Lackawanna, California.
We need your help, JJ! hours work, cause money never sleeps. You never met a CPA quite like me. You never met a CPA.
All right.
JJ, from President or Secretary of Department of Treasury, will never be able to thank you enough. We got approved today.
Oh, I really appreciate it. Thank you for all your support.
JJ, can't thank you enough, my friend. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And Amanda too. I know you guys are working together, and you work together really, really well. By the way, even when one of you gets hungry, you work off each other really good. So, all right, here we go. We are going into the bank with a mask on and sunglasses. This used to be illegal.
All right, hey, have a great night. I appreciate you. And don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA.
All right.
You've never met a human being like JJ. JJ, thank you for giving and giving and giving, selflessly, tirelessly, and being so understanding, so empathetic, so kind. Thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. You're helping save lives right now. In the last 3 weeks, being up at 2 o'clock in the morning and not knowing what to do or how to do it, you were always there. You always happened to be thinking whatever we were thinking and putting something together for us. I'd turn on YouTube and there you were with an answer, like prayers being answered. Can't thank you enough. You've never met a human being like this man. Thank you, JJ.